Cliff. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. So is Lynn Love, right?
Yes.
All right.
Lynn Love.
All right. This is Ernest Flagg, Nursing and Behavioral Health Services, and we are. I'm actually just calling you to bring you in on this interview, this discussion today about the best business ideas for nurses and people in healthcare. You've been all up and down corporate America. You've worked emergency department. You've been director. You did inpatient, outpatient, med surge. You've been all over that nursing, that world of nursing. And I would say, so give me a little idea. What you shared with me, some of your background. I had just a little bit of it, but just kind of tell me some of your background outside of serving as an associate to nursing and behavioral health services.
Well, I always like to bring up, I lived in a household where I had a aunt who was...
And don't forget that all that background noise come in easily, so whatever, somebody doing that in the background, we can hear that as well.
Oh, you can?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's
okay.
We hear those dishes moving.
Is it clear right now?
Very clear.
Oh, okay. So I like to always say, when I grew up in California, I lived in a household where it was an extended family, and she was an LVN, licensed vocational nurse. And so, from interactions with her and seeing her, I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse. And so, I started out at an associate degree program here in Michigan, where I became a nurse with an associate degree. Worked a little bit, went on and got a bachelor's degree, and then I worked in every area possible. I stayed in med surg about 6 months, and when I had 17 patients on the midnight shift and I was still also in charge, I said, oh no, something has to give. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the emergency department, because you basically just treat, stabilize, and then you discharge them. I like that a lot better. So I stayed in the emergency room for about 15 years, but in between all that, I worked in ICU, a cardiac care unit, the open heart unit. I did high-tech home care where we were actually treating patients with CMV retinitis. And so we would go out there and actually put in PICC lines in the field. We were actually putting in PICC lines ourselves.
Gotcha.
And we would...
at a time that was unheard of. At a time when that really wasn't heard of.
Oh, it wasn't heard of at all. And, I never had any negative or bad outcomes. And I did that for about 3 years. And so we would give these infusions in the field. I've done everything, I'm telling you.
Uh-huh. We're in an industry right now where no longer a time period where no longer can we just sit and wait on opportunity to just fall into our lap. It is a time where we must go out and create opportunity for ourselves. I have seen in myself being a nurse in a number of different states, having worked emergency departments, subacute care, inpatient psychiatry, and community health as well, community mental health as well. I have seen so much where nurses have put in so much work and lining the pockets of others, making others rich, but off of their sweat equity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you. Well, and the other piece to that, Ernest, is that nurses, when we get into some of those corporate positions, it seems like the camaraderie that we have with our fellow nurses, it really goes right out the window. They're somewhat expected to follow a certain, corporate structure, and I'm not sure that nurses are able to really advocate for other nurses in the area of, let's just say, salary, benefits, because it's already determined.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so, we go and work for these other nurses who might be nurse managers, thinking that, she's really going to, he or she is going to really advocate for me, but they cannot.
We're working.
And so there again, you're very limited.
Right. Exactly. I see nurses are working. They're putting in, 20, 30 years, all of these years into the workforce. And to a large extent, when they get out, they're coming out with nothing more than what they have saved. A recent article talked about how nurses were not retiring, how they had to work longer and was continuing to work longer. And a lot of the reasons, I didn't buy a lot of the reasons that they were saying, but I mean, the crux of it really is that nurses are, really perceived as the head of the household that they're living in. They got kids, they got cars, they got kids still in college. They've taken out a second mortgage on that home. They really just cannot retire to a large extent, but they're a slave to this entity. They're a slave to this hospital or that workforce or that whatever that institution is. They're locked into that hourly. I come to work 9 hours, work 8 hours, work 12 hours, 16 hours, go home mode. When in fact, to a large extent, these nurses here really have the the credentials, the skills and ability to actually endure business ownership.
Well, and since we're talking about business ownership, and let's just take it back and have a look at physicians. In the old days, prior to what's going on now with physicians went to school, they went to their residency, they came out, and it was expected that they open their own business. They hang their own shingle. They start seeing their own patients, providing, the service, following them into the hospital. Now, I know that has changed in 2017, but nurses, as we graduate and come out and start working, even those with those advanced degrees, were kind of programmed to work for someone else.
That gets me to my next point, and I want to get your honest opinion and tell me if I'm wrong. To a large degree, I feel that these universities, these academicians and the universities have really done a job on us, brainwashed us to a large degree, thinking that you come to college, you get this education, you leave, you come, you leave here, you'll be able to get a job and make, all this type of money. When in fact that over the, I've been brainwashed that way too. I was at one point, and then that's not the reality today. People are going to college. They're ascertaining astronomical student loans. They can't pay the loans back. They're defaulting. They can't get a job, or the job that they get is mediocre to the point that they can't even pay the loans back. They're defaulting on the loans, and it just seems like the world, the academicians and universities and people in high standing have sold a lot of our youth and a lot of people out here, including myself, a false hope that a college degree is the answer. Come get this college degree, come, rack up these student loans, and you'll be okay.
Very good. Very good. But, there has been some, some research, on why nurses cannot retire or why they postpone their retirement. Mm-hmm. And the number one reason is the financial. They can't afford to. And then, like you said, a lot of them are heads of their household, and so they're carrying the benefits, and so, they can't, let that expire. And so it's really a sad commentary because nurses are the backbone of everything within the healthcare system.
You know what? Every hospital, every setting I have worked at, and you talk about, and this is all piggybacking off of what you said, it has been nurses. I'm telling you, I've been in situations where the nurses tell the doctor, listen, no, that's not a good move. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. They're the ones, they are the backbone to these hospitals, to this industry, that healthcare industry, because I've seen some doctors that didn't have a clue, didn't know the difference between a tree and a bush, and needed that guidance from that nurse to circumvent that lawsuit or to get that patient back on this side of stability.
Oh yeah. And think about the critical care unit. You have to be confident enough to even know when to call the doctor. And there was someone, I can't remember the name, I can't remember the author who wrote this book or conceptualized this concept, the art of knowing. Nurses do have that intuitive ability just to know when something is getting ready to go downhill. They can feel it, And, we are critical thinkers. We have seen this thing many times before, and so we know. And then we do call the doctors because we know things are not looking good. So, I don't know. But I think there are some opportunities out there for nurses. And is that what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, and that's where you can go ahead. You're going to segue into that. Go ahead. I want to say that even nurses need a side hustle. Even nurses need to begin, and we've had a lot of nurses. Our number one clientele here happen to be nurses in our industry and our office who are developing the businesses. But I'm not seeing enough of them, considering the mass number of nurses nationally, and we advertise nationally. I'm not seeing enough nurses really just take control of their life and want to see and realize residual income, want to see and realize true freedom, where they can control their time, where they can take vacations and come back from their vacation whenever they get back. I'm not seeing enough nurses just really take that control of their life and say, I'm coming, I'm going to do a business. I'm going to do a personal care business. I'm going to do a business that I'm comfortable with, a business that that my skill set complements, let me tell you, why did you become an entrepreneur? Out of all of those years of experience you got, out of all those different entities that you have worked with, tell me, why did you yourself decide I'm turning in all this other stuff? You know what? I'm intelligent enough. I'm smart enough. I want to work for myself.
Well, I have to say that I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And sometimes I think it's a good thing when you have it in you. But for those who have it in us, it's just in us, we have to help people who may not have been born with that to come up and try it. So, as I said before, I started out very young, got that associate degree. Went and got that bachelor's degree, thinking that, I want to impact change. Now that I have a bachelor's degree, I can now be in management, and now I can, make some decisions that will help the nursing industry as well as taking care of the patients. Well, I found out that wasn't possible. So I even took it a step further. I went and got a master's degree and became a nurse practitioner in the area of family medicine. And when I graduated in 1999, I worked on both sides, the family medicine and the psychiatric side, and thinking that I could impact change. Well, I've worked and worked and worked and worked and worked until I've outworked myself, and still I have not been able to impact change in the way that it makes a difference. And so, long story, I had a friend who had a group home, and she had a group home way up north, and she had a patient in there that she was having difficulty with. The patient had some intellectual disabilities, had multiple medical problems. She was not in the area, but, you know, the home manager was there, and she needed help. Now, most of these people working in the group home, as well as the owner of the home, did not have a medical background. And so, when I went into the home, I also took my husband, who is a physician. I spoke with the home manager, and I said, I understand you have a patient here who's having problems, and the provider asked me to come and see him. And so the home provider knew nothing about what was going on with the patient. She says, oh, no, you have to call the home provider back. So I called the home provider, and I said, what's going on with this patient? Well, she began to run it down. Well, I went in to see the gentleman. He was drowsy and lethargic. He had a feeding tube. He was laying on his back. He was contracted. He had skin breakdown. I mean, just really weak. Skin turgor was very bad. You can see that he was desperately dehydrated. And so, you know, we did everything and took care of business. But it was that moment that I said, you know what, I'm going to change horses in the middle of the road. I have the medical background. My husband has the medical background. We could do a phenomenal service to these patients living in these facilities. We're going to open up our own group home for both severe medically fragile and folks with severe behavioral issues, because we have the experience, the expertise, the wherewithal, and the willingness to do it. And so that is what we are doing, as you know, Mr. Swag.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a beautiful, that's a beautiful commentary. That is, representative, illustrative of so many nurses that are out here giving their all, and they're not necessarily appreciated. They're not necessarily even recognized, and they can be so much more to themselves, because you can't be wealthy working for someone else. And then the other part of that is you can't get, the level of I don't think you can get the level of satisfaction you can out of, working for someone that you can really have as a business owner, because you can impact change a lot different, a lot greater on that side of the fence. Now, let me ask you, when you say, okay, this is what we're doing, we're coming in the personal care industry, what is your number? I mean, you've been in a position where you have given out multi-million dollar contracts for people. This is working in corporate America. You have, you have made a lot of people wealthy. You have made a lot of, you were responsible for a lot of residential facilities, several hundred facilities and providers. What is some of the number one problems? What is one or two of the number one issue that you might have seen among providers of residential settings? What are some of the more perplexing things that you've seen? I know before you advocated and you said, that absent provider is a horrible thing. That's one of the worst situations, though. But if you could give providers, people wanting to come into the personal care industry, any advice, what would you say?
Well, a couple things. The first thing is that, owning your own personal care business is really a business, and you have to take it serious and look at it as that. You're not just at home, babysitting. This is a business, and so you have to treat it as such. Definitely you have to be there. You cannot be an absent provider. You have to actually oversee that whole process. You have to, do process improvement of your business on a daily basis. You see something, okay, we need to change it right now. Because you've got a lot of competition out there, and people are looking at you. And so if there are some issues, you need to correct it as soon as possible. The other big thing is that you need to ensure that you hire the right person to work within a group home setting, dealing with patients with disabilities. People who are caring, people who are honest, people who follow directions, folks that are not doing things that is outside of their scope. Because sometimes they may be the only person there with this vulnerable population. And you don't ever want, any of your patients to be harmed. I think that you should spend the resources on the front end and ongoing on education. Folks working in this setting, they have to be confident. They have to know how to manage these folks in the proper manner. And so putting those resources in the area of education is very important.
A lot of... Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said that's, some of the, the top 2 or 3 that I would say could really negatively impact your business.
Yeah, a lot of providers, I've seen some providers that did a very, very good job, come into the industry, did a very, very good job. But I've also seen some situations that are really, really, it can be scary, because the state, when they come in onto your facility, they're not going to they're going to come and look for that administrator. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Your name is across every document, and you should really, I think the individual or the provider should really look into things like cameras, having that responsible site manager there, and as well being present. So, and also know the population that you're working with, and know everything about the business. Nobody in that business should know more than you as an administrator, as a provider of your facility. Nobody should know more than you, because that will go to their head. That will go to that person's head and likely lead that person into a position where they of superiority or thinking entitlement or a sense of entitlement.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen it so many times before.
Ms. Leva, go ahead.
There were reports in the early days that home providers had managers working in their homes. And these providers would have 4, 5, 6 homes, and they would always tell me stories where a home manager after being issued a corporate credit card, would take that credit card and just use it however they wanted. And so, that's amazing to me. That is amazing to me.
Wow, that is just sad. That is very disappointing to hear. But that story kind of echoes many of the stories that we're seeing in some of the papers nowadays, where things are happening. Providers within personal care establishments, and providers are not really aware of what's going on within their business. They're not providing that level of oversight necessary, and so a certain type of employee could and they see that weakness, and then they take advantage of it and they exploit it, and before you know it, the provider business is all over the news, and and people are walking in, taking the residents out of the home because it's and closing the facility down. So a lot of us, when you come into the business, I want to say these providers that are coming to the business, they really got to be knowledgeable of the rules, the regulations, and they got to be involved in their business, because that's what make a successful business. That is that's part of the ingredients of a successful personal care business. I want you to speak to this last piece. The U.S. Census Bureau espoused some data recently that by 2030, some 20% of our population, the U.S. population, will be age 65 and older. By the year 2030, 20%, greater than 20% of our population will be age 65 and older. And for me to hear that, I'm excited. And I think that anybody, any healthcare professional, any person in healthcare, any nurse, doctor, DO, OT, PT should be excited, because that gives rise to the need for home care agencies, home health agencies, personal care homes, specialty group homes, and a lot of people, and that spells opportunity. What's your thoughts on that? Do you have any?
Absolutely. I tell you, absolutely. As we get older, things really do change. But I'm going to tell you, it is an opportunity. Now, let's be clear. Just because you're 65 doesn't mean that you necessarily need the certain level of care that we're talking about. But when you factor in this country, the types of foods that we eat, we eat a lot of stuff with a lot of excitotoxins in it. There's a lot of, there are still people cooking out of it for nurses to be able to make a difference in the lives of people who would otherwise not do very well.
So some of the best business ideas, I want to run through them. You got your specialty group home. That's your hospice establishment, your DD, IDD populations, working with your Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, your memory care individuals. You got, and that's just some of the specialty group home models that are out there as part of the best business ideas. Another one is private home care. In this particular instance, you are, farming out and taking individuals, sending staff to individuals' home, possibly as well as the hospitals, nursing homes, rehab facilities, to sit with an individual for some time and to ensure the health and safety of that individual. Companion care company is a non-hands-on type of home care company. It's more of a, you're doing errands and as well ensuring the person's home possibly is clean, giving out medication reminders for this particular model. But this one is non-skilled, and it's generally a non-hands-on type of personal care business model. The other one is a transportation company. You're moving individuals, taking them to essential appointments, and as well possibly even taking them on outings and to events. Your next one is the small nursing home. I like that model. It's 50 to 100. It's just a manageable type of setting. And with the small nursing home, 50 to 100, you can really control costs in that type of environment as well, a lot greater than you can in one of the larger, more personal care business models. Your assisted living home, the adult day program, professional services. So your consultants, say if you're a nurse or a doctor, you could also form a professional service or consulting firm, and begin to market your skills for fee for service. Then there's a health product store for that person that has that cream or oil or hair product or lotion or a great fragrance or that special remedy they got for arthritis. You could generate a website and of a certain kind and actually begin to market those products on a statewide or even national level. Then it's the staffing agency. This traditional staffing model, you could outsource physicians, nurses, nurse aides, and direct care professionals under this particular model. Supported employment agency. With this particular model, you're actually training individuals who have disabilities to perform a certain job task, such as hanging, stocking products. You are bagging groceries, etc. But you're also providing coaching and support to them while they are on the job for their shift to ensure that they get through that day in the most productive fashion without having any crisis or meltdowns. Your next one is a community access program. With this particular model or personal care business model, you're actually taking individuals out into the community and engaging them on certain levels to get refamiliar or reacquainted with the community, such as how to use a library or how to go grocery shopping or where's the local train and how to catch a train, etc. It's actually ensuring that this population or these individuals maintain connection with the community, involvement with the community, as opposed to living an isolated life as if those community resources don't exist. And that's all the business models that we wanted to actually go over and share. Ms. Love, I want to ask you, is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we close out?
Yeah, there was one other model that I wanted to tell you about, and it's in the area for those advanced practice nurses who might want to have their own business. And that is, these daycare centers, providing a daycare center for children who are sick. Many times parents cannot take their children to a daycare center if the child is sick. At a daycare center that was really strictly for children who have some type of issue. They might have a cold, a respiratory infection, whatever. They could actually go to the daycare center for sick children and be cared for by that advanced practice nurse and maybe even other nurses.
Oh, wow. That is phenomenal. A very, very different and unique personal care business model. I like that. I love it. I like that. I love that. That's why we got you with us, and we are so glad that you have been a part of the team for so many years and supporting us on just so many levels. As you know, a couple years back, Dr. Salzman a great friend of ours passed, and he was the number one or the number two voice for nursing and behavioral health services in all of our interviews and discussions over the years. So, and I just want to thank you for filling in those shoes. Yeah.
Well, thanks. We miss him so much, and I could never walk in his shoes. but it's been a pleasure working with each and every one of you.
Yeah, Dr. Frederick Salzman he was unique in his own right. There's no other person, genuine quality human being, that could fill his shoes. I know that, and I know I'm not even saying you try to fill him. He's a great person, but, and we miss him as well. So listen, you got to let us know what your schedule is, because, we like you. We need you. We want you to stay available for these. I mean, you're available for the console components and working with the team, but I think you did a very phenomenal job here, and I think I want to welcome you back on this side of the fence in supporting the company soon as possible. So.
Okay, and I hope that the next time we get together and have a discussion, we can talk about funding.
Oh, yeah.
So business folks have an opportunity to kind of hear where the funding comes from for all these wonderful projects.
Oh, yeah. All righty. That's another model. We'll put together that interview very shortly, and I'm working on it right now. So that could very well be the next one, okay?
All right.
Talk to you soon. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too now.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. My name is Ernest Flagg. I am closing this out discussion with Ms. Lynn Love, nurse practitioner and consultant, who has, really decided that, the entrepreneurial aspect of life is the way to go. And she has since then been in the business and came over to the personal care business industry as a provider and put together some really, really nice facilities, her and her husband, and they are remarkable, and they're filled with clients already. Visit our website and consider our consultations. Our consults are paid, but they are also unique to the business interest. So find your business interest in there. If you don't see it, give us a call back. Like us, share us, subscribe to us. Have a great day.